Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Demystifying the FDA MoCRA 2022 Cosmetic Rules, What Beauty Brands Need to Know. We will get started in just a couple minutes. In the meantime, please introduce yourself in the chat and share what type of business you own.
Also, please let us know where you are joining us from. Are you from the state of California? Are you part of our network on the continent in Africa? Are you from Europe? We'd like to see where you're joining us from today as well. Thank you.
All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Demystifying the FDA MoCRA 2022 Cosmetic Rules, What Beauty Brands Need to Know. Once again, please introduce yourselves in the chat and share what type of business you own, as well as where are you located. All right, looks like there's a couple people that have posted where they're from. Thank you for sharing that information. So just a couple housekeeping items before we get started. As this Zoom event is held in webinar format, everyone is muted and your cameras are off. This is being recorded and you will receive an email with a link to the recording and today's PowerPoint presentation. Please submit any questions you have using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. If you run into any technical issues today, please put them in the chat and I will be available to support you. Before I introduce our host, I would like to let everyone know that we have added a survey after the webinar. Please take the time to fill out the survey so that we can receive feedback on today's webinar. I would like to introduce you all to our host, EDC Small Business Development Center, International Trade Advisor, and Women in International Trade Orange County Chairwoman, Simona Rasic.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for making today's webinar happen for us and for all your support. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from today. I'm Simona Rasic. I'm a trade specialist at the EDC SBDC and the chair at WITOC. We are, if we could start with our first slide, Stephanie, thank you. Welcome and thank you so much for joining and taking the time to learn with us today. The EDC SBDC Go Global Trade Program is part of the Los Angeles SBDC network. We are part of America's nationwide network of Small Business Development Center, which is the largest business assistance program in the world. It's an SBA program. We also have a cooperative agreement with Governor's Office of Business and Economics, the Advocate Office, with Workforce Development Board of Ventura, and we are an SBA funded program. In California, we have about 42 centers, SBDC centers, 7 centers in Los Angeles region, and 1,000 centers worldwide offering support for businesses. On behalf of EDC SBDC, I would like to start by expressing our deepest gratitude to our partners for the program. We'll hear in a moment from Destiny Broussard, who's the Vice President at WITOC, a compliance expert and an inspiring leader in our community. She's the person who prepared today's program. Our expert today is Jerry Williams, the project manager at the cosmetic division at Krieger Worldwide. We'll also hear from Marquis Blanc, who is our great partner in the women in trade community from Krieger Worldwide as well. Kristen Houston from U.S. Commercial Services with us today. She is an international trade specialist and will keep us updated with new upcoming events and support. So thank you to all of you for collaborating on today's program. And I will next give you a few minutes introduction about our EDC SBDC Go Global Trade Program. Let's go to the next slide. Our program is aimed at businesses interested in accessing international trade opportunities through both imports and exports, or both. We serve Los Angeles, Ventura, and Santa Barbara County. We provide no cost, focused one-on-one technical advising, and we support small businesses through the entire process, from learning about trade to conducting marketing research, to applying for export loans, to building export and import plans, to understanding some of the regulations. We support you in your negotiation with foreign buyers, managing trade transaction, and just navigating the entire complex process of international trade, applying for STEP grants to support your export expansion as well. Really, our ultimate goal is to provide strategic approach to global markets for all of the small businesses in the region. Let's go to the next slide. We do this as a team. We have a team of over 60 advisors. I only listed here some of the advisors supporting you in different areas of business. As you know, export and trade is very much related to all of the operation of your business. So we want to make sure that your domestic production is not being negatively affected by your international production, and that all the processes are aligned. So we're here to support you, not only to make sure that you have access to resources, but to really navigate the resources and to strategically plan for your business expansion. So let's go to the next slide. This is the website, the email, and the phone number, how you can connect with us. Please stay in touch with me on LinkedIn. We have a lot of events that I always post on LinkedIn that will support your expansion. And if you are not in Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, Ventura counties, you can go to America SBDC to find your local SBDC, and wherever you are in the United States, you'll be able to locate a center near you. And if you are outside of the United States and you're looking to invest in California, we also support foreign direct investment in California. Thank you so much. I look forward to staying in touch with all of you after this event. And next, I will hand over the virtual floor to Destiny Broussard, our compliance expert and leader at Women in Trade Orange County. Thank you.
Thank you, Simona. Simona is actually chairwoman at WITOC, and events like this are accomplished due to the efforts of our WITOC board. So before I share my slide with you all today, I do want to acknowledge and express my gratitude to our board, our chairwoman, Simona Rasic, to our president, Sidi Kara, our treasurer, Charlotte Maroki, who are both present today, and to all of our advisors, thank you for your passion and your dedication to making events like today possible. Hello, everyone. On behalf of WITOC, thank you for being here. My name is Destiny Broussard, and I'm the Vice President and OWIT Rep for WITOC, also known as Women in Trade Orange County. I have been involved with this fantastic organization for over a year now, and I'm very excited to be here to continue the great mission of WITOC. For those of you that are unfamiliar, WITOC has been around for almost 40 years as part of the larger Organization of Women in International Trade, or OWIT. OWIT has over 27 chapters, which includes a virtual chapter, and over 3,000 members globally. Their mission, which we share, is to foster international trade and advance women in business through education, exchange of information and ideas, and networking. And as OWIT representative, I communicate news between chapters and look for collaboration opportunities. You can check out owit.org to learn more about OWIT. We welcome you to join WITOC. WITOC membership offers great benefits such as automatic OWIT membership, which includes access to their networking events. WITOC membership also gives you the same access to WITOC hosted events and access to our partner events. A couple of our signature events include an annual port tour, which we plan to host again this year. We also just wrapped up a seminar with BIS on complying with U.S. export controls at the end of 2023. We have an annual holiday networking event, and we plan to implement more networking opportunities this year. Last year, we covered a few topics via webinars, such as how to do business with Romania and Poland. We had a presentation on the benefits of foreign trade zones. And we also hosted an industry roundtable in partnership with the U.S. Commercial Service. We have so many more exciting events lined up for 2024, including a panel discussion we will be hosting at World Trade Week Orange County in May, and a leadership seminar in June to be hosted together with one of our corporate members. If you'd like to learn more about WITOC, you can visit us at witoc.org, follow our LinkedIn page to stay current on upcoming events, or you can chat with me via email at outreach@witoc.org. We would love the opportunity to connect with you, and we're always open to hearing any suggestions on events or topics you would like to see from WITOC. We are here to serve the international trade community, so please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much all again for being present. Before we dive into today's topic, I do want to encourage you to stick around until the end of the webinar for our Q&A session. All of today's panelists will be available to answer any questions you may have about today's presentation. It is now my pleasure to introduce our main presenter, Jerry Williams, Project Manager for the Client Services Team at Krieger Worldwide. Krieger Worldwide has been a partner of WITOC since its inception, and we are very grateful for their support. Jerry will walk us through an informative presentation on the Modernization of Cosmetics Regulation Act. Jerry, thank you for taking the time to present to us today.
Thank you. And thank you for joining WITOC and Krieger Worldwide today for an overview of MoCRA and how it affects the cosmetics industry. The Modernization of Cosmetics Regulation Act of 2022 expands the FDA's power to regulate cosmetics with the goal of protecting U.S. consumers from harmful ingredients or practices. It applies to most cosmetic products sold in the United States, including makeup, skincare products, hair care products, and fragrances. The FDA is currently developing regulations to implement the MoCRA Act. These regulations are expected to be finalized this year in 2024. The MoCRA Act has been praised by consumer advocates and public health experts. However, some in the cosmetics industry have expressed concerns about the potential cost and burdens of compliance. The Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act defines cosmetics as articles intended to be rubbed, poured, sprinkled, or sprayed on, introduced into, or otherwise applied to the human body for cleansing, beautifying, promoting attractiveness, or altering the appearance. A product's directions for use, ingredients, formulation, and labeling and marketing claims impact whether it is considered a cosmetic. Some examples of cosmetics include perfume, nail polish, temporary and permanent hair dyes or other coloring products, face creams and serums, foundations or powders, blush, lipstick, and eye makeup. Makeup products marketed to children are also included. Some products meet the FD&C Act definition of a cosmetic, even though they may not be found in the cosmetics aisle of a grocery or big box store. Some of these products include baby wipes, bubble baths, toothpastes, deodorants, shaving creams, and tattoo ink. If a product cleanses, beautifies, or promotes attractiveness, that product may fall under MoCRA scope. One product that does cleanse but is not subject to MoCRA is soap. If a soap's express purpose is to cleanse and it does not have marketed claims beyond cleansing, such as moisturizing or beautifying, it is considered an over-the-counter drug and subject to different regulations outside of MoCRA. In addition to ingredient lists and formulations, labeling and marketing claims are crucial in determining which products fall under the FDA's and MoCRA scope. MoCRA empowers the FDA to protect consumer safety with the following expanded powers: requiring cosmetic companies to register with the FDA and list their ingredients. This will give the FDA a better understanding of the cosmetics on the market and make it easier to identify and address potential safety concerns. Giving the FDA the authority to order recalls of unsafe cosmetic products. This will help to protect consumers from products that could cause harm. Setting new standards for good manufacturing practices for cosmetic manufacturers. This will help to ensure that cosmetic products are made in a safe and sanitary way. And requiring cosmetic companies to submit safety data to the FDA. This will help the FDA to better assess the safety of cosmetic ingredients and products. A manufacturer, packer, or distributor of a cosmetic must designate a responsible person. A responsible person, as defined in the FD&C Act, means the manufacturer, packer, or distributor of a cosmetic product whose name appears on the label of such cosmetic product. A consultant cannot be listed as a responsible person. A company located outside of the US could be a responsible person so long as they are the manufacturer, packer, or distributor of the cosmetic product. Beginning December 29th, 2024, cosmetic products must bear a label that includes a domestic address, domestic phone number, or electronic contact information, which may be a website, through which the responsible person can receive adverse event reports and meet maintenance, inspection, and reporting requirements under the FD&C Act. The responsible person plays a pivotal role in safeguarding consumer health and upholding MoCRA's objectives within the US cosmetics industry. Here's a breakdown of the key duties. Product registration and listings. The responsible person must register all cosmetic products with the FDA and submit detailed product listings with accurate information to the FDA for each product. Facility registration. The manufacturing and packing facilities involved in the product lifecycle must be registered with the FDA. Adverse event management. The responsible person receives and responds to consumer reports of adverse events related to the product. Adverse event safety documentation. The responsible person must maintain a comprehensive record of documents that show all reported adverse events and related actions taken. And regulatory interactions and market control. The responsible person is expected to participate with the FDA in audits and inspections to ensure compliance with MoCRA regulations. Additionally, the responsible person should initiate and manage voluntary or mandatory product recalls in case of identified safety risks. Responsible persons must have processes in place to allow them to receive and maintain adverse event reports from consumers. A responsible person is required to report serious adverse events, such as serious injury or death, associated with the use of cosmetic products in the United States to the FDA within 15 business days. The responsible person must include a copy of the label on or within the retail packaging of such cosmetic product. If the responsible person receives medical or other information about the adverse event within 1 year of the initial report to the FDA, they must submit this new information to the FDA within 15 business days. The FDA must also have access to adverse event reports during any inspections. MoCRA requires cosmetic companies to keep records of health-related events for 6 years, or 3 years for small businesses. Under MoCRA, the FDA requires cosmetic labels to include contact information for receiving and documenting consumer reports of adverse events. The cosmetic product labels must be updated to include domestic contact information and electronic contact information to receive adverse event reporting by December 29th, 2024. Facilities must be registered with the FDA through a portal link on the FDA website called Cosmetics Direct. A facility is defined as any establishment that manufactures or processes cosmetic products distributed in the United States. Manufacturers and processors must register their facility with the FDA and renew that registration every 2 years. To register, the responsible person must submit the name of the owner or operator of the facility and the physical address, email, and telephone number. If it is a foreign facility, the contact for the U.S. agent of the facility must also be listed. All brand names under which cosmetic products are manufactured or processed in the facility and the product category or categories must be documented. If previously assigned by the FDA, the facility registration number should also be included. The individual who submits the registration information must attest to the accuracy and veracity of the submitted information. MoCRA gives the FDA the authority to suspend a facility's registration, whether or not it is a domestic facility. If a facility's registration is suspended, it is a prohibited act to distribute, sell, or otherwise introduce or deliver into commerce cosmetic products from that facility in the United States. Product listings must be submitted to the FDA through a portal link on the FDA website called Cosmetics Direct. This information to be submitted in a cosmetic product listing can include the facility registration number, the name and contact number of the responsible person, the name of the product and its cosmetic category or categories, a list of ingredients for the cosmetic product, including fragrances, flavors, or colors, and if previously assigned by the FDA, the product listing number. The product listing number, which is a unique identifier for each cosmetic product, the brand names associated with the products manufactured in a specific facility through facility registration information, and the facility registration number will not be disclosed to the public. Aside from these exceptions, details including facility name and address and cosmetic product categories can be made accessible to the public. This should provide the public with access to information about cosmetics while avoiding disclosing details to safeguard sensitive business information. Safety substantiation requires the responsible person to ensure adequate substantiation of the product's safety and to maintain records supporting that substantiation. Adequate substantiation of safety refers to tests, studies, research, analyses, or other evidence or information that is considered among experts qualified by scientific training and experience to evaluate the safety of cosmetic products and their ingredients to be sufficient to support with reasonable certainty that a cosmetic product is safe. Safe means that the product, including its ingredients, would not be injurious to users in customary use or by following the directions on the label. Manufacturers can use existing, relevant data that is already available to support the safety of their products. The FDA website provides information on, or the FDA website links to the cosmetic ingredient review website where you can search ingredients of interest and see data supporting that. It's important that all data used to support the safety of a cosmetic product are derived from scientifically robust methods, and the FDA website provides information on what it considers robust methods. Additionally, MoCRA reinforces safety substantiation by establishing and requiring standardized testing methods for detecting asbestos in talc-containing cosmetic products. MoCRA also granted FDA the ability to research PFAS, commonly known as forever chemicals, in cosmetics. The intention of the study, which should be released in December 2025, is intended to inform future regulatory actions. The FDA is currently working on the specific list of fragrance allergens and labeling requirements for those fragrance allergens. The initial enforcement date for mandatory allergen labeling was projected to be July 1st, 2024. However, the FDA has not yet updated the public on necessary changes to labeling, including disclosures of specified fragrance allergens. Please monitor the FDA website for important updates. Currently, a responsible person must be documenting and maintaining safety substantiation records for cosmetic products. Mandatory fragrance allergen labeling requirements are expected to be proposed by June 29th, 2024, with implementation expected in early 2025. The FDA is expected to publish a report summarizing the results of the safety assessment on PFAS in cosmetic products by December 29th, 2025. And the FDA is still working on developing a proposed rule for standardized testing to identify asbestos in talc-containing cosmetic products under MoCRA. The FDA is in the process of developing binding, enforceable good manufacturing practices. We should see a draft of these practices by the end of 2024. Currently, the FDA provides only guidance for good manufacturing practices. The FDA's guidance documents, including good manufacturing practices guidance, do not establish legally enforceable responsibilities. Instead, guidance describes the FDA's current thinking on a topic and should be viewed only as recommendations, unless specific regulatory or statutory requirements are cited. Some of the current GMP guidance recommends that records and documentation should be retained in either paper or electronic format. Buildings and facilities used for manufacturing are of suitable size, design, and construction, and maintained in a clean and orderly manner. Equipment and utensils used in processing, holding, transferring, and packaging are of appropriate design, size, material, and workmanship. Personnel supervising or performing cosmetics manufacturing or control have the education, training, and experience to perform their assigned functions. Raw materials are identified, stored, examined, tested, inventoried, handled, and controlled to ensure they conform to appropriate standards and specifications. Written manufacturing and control SOPs have been established. Laboratory controls, including sample collection techniques, specifications, test methods, laboratory equipment, and technician qualifications are present and followed. Effective procedures for internal audits are followed, and product complaints, consumer adverse event reports, and product recall files are documented and reported. Currently, the FDA has provided voluntary cosmetic product good manufacturing practice guidance, which is available to view under the FDA's website for MoCRA. The FDA is expected to publish its proposed regulations by December 29th, 2024, and its final regulations by December 29th, 2025. Small businesses, which are defined as those whose annual gross sales in the United States of cosmetic products for the previous 3-year period was under $1 million, are generally exempt from MoCRA guidance and regulations, such as good manufacturing practices, facility registration, and product listing requirements. However, some products are not exempt, no matter what the gross annual sales in the US of cosmetic products are for that company. If a product regularly comes into contact with the mucous membrane of the eye, is injected or intended for internal use, or alters the appearance for over 24 hours, that product is not exempt from MoCRA for small businesses. Products that regularly come into contact with the mucous membrane of the eye are articles such as eye makeup remover products, liquid or mucosal eyeliner, or false eyelash adhesive. However, products such as facial creams, cleansers, or serums are not regularly expected to encounter the eye's mucous membrane, and so would not fall under MoCRA scope. Products that are expected to alter the appearance for over 24 hours include nail polishes, some hair products, some eyebrow dyes, and some leave-on preparations. To determine if a product is expected to alter the appearance for over 24 hours, consult the product labeling and directions for use. MoCRA emphasizes that a manufacturer and distributor is ultimately responsible for consumer safety. Unlike drugs and medical devices, cosmetics do not require FDA approval before hitting the market. MoCRA reinforces this by granting no authority for pre-market approval of cosmetic ingredients or products, except color additives. This means the manufacturer and distributor legally ensures the safety of their marketed products when used as directed or under customary conditions. Despite no pre-approval, the FDA retains the right to act if reliable information indicates a cosmetic poses safety risks. This could involve investigating, recalling, or taking other enforcement actions against responsible parties. Manufacturers must have safety substantiation records demonstrating their product's safety for intended use. This might involve existing data or new studies. MoCRA empowers the FDA to hold manufacturers accountable and encourages robust self-regulation through registration, record keeping, and adverse event reporting requirements. Manufacturers are expected to collaborate openly with the FDA through inspections, audits, and information sharing to maintain safety and address potential concerns promptly. MoCRA ultimately results in a significant shift in regulations for the cosmetics industry. The industry is likely to see increased collaboration with the FDA to ensure compliance and navigate the new regulations effectively. These changes may result in industry challenges and adaptation. Some products might need reformulation to meet stricter safety standards or labeling requirements. There may be increased compliance costs related to registration, testing, and record-keeping requirements. The stricter safety requirements might pose challenges for innovation in the industry, although they ultimately aim to ensure the safety of new products. The FDA is still developing specific requirements and procedures that comply with MoCRA, so impacts will continue to develop. Implementing MoCRA standards and procedures may lead to benefits for sellers. For example, ingredient lists will be more detailed and accessible to consumers, allowing for more informed choices. This is something of interest to consumers, as a study by NPD Group saw that 68% of consumers want to buy skincare products made with clean ingredients. A brand essence study saw that nearly 1/3 of the US cosmetics market is now labeled clean, with an increase of 12% expected from 2020 to 2027. Consumers are looking for increased transparency about the products they are purchasing, so cosmetic companies can capitalize on this by bringing safe and regulated products to the market. Safe products can enhance brand reputation and minimize the risks of product recalls. In addition to increasing trust and product safety, MoCRA can lead to higher operational excellence. By modifying procedures and facilities to conform to good manufacturing practices, sellers may potentially increase their operational efficiency. Finally, implementing MoCRA may lead to some tangential innovations. While MoCRA does not ban animal testing, it does state that animal testing should be phased out. This may lead to the development of other non-animal testing methods and incentivizes research and adoption of alternative testing methods, opening doors for new safety assessments, technologies, and efficient use of data. The FDA will continue to release guidance and documentation as they finalize MoCRA procedures, particularly for how to submit needed documentation. All shareholders should stay aware of the evolving guidance. Potential increased documentation requirements for shipments destined for the United States could impact shipping times and costs. While MoCRA does not directly give the FDA jurisdiction to inspect foreign cosmetic facilities, the FDA does have the authority to refuse entry of cosmetic products into the United States if they suspect the products were made in facilities with inadequate safety practices. This can motivate foreign manufacturers to ensure their facilities meet FDA standards to avoid product rejections and potential economic losses. After the enforcement date of July 1st, 2024, if the responsible person or facility hasn't registered with the FDA or listed the product, a cosmetic product potentially could be refused entry, with exemptions for some small businesses. After good manufacturing practices are enforceable in 2025, products manufactured in a facility that doesn't adhere to the FDA-established GMPs can be refused entry, with exemptions for some small businesses. The FDA works closely with U.S. Customs and Border Protection to monitor imported cosmetics. If a product is refused entry, the FDA will issue a notice of refusal of admission to the importer of record and a copy of the refusal to the broker and consignee. The FDA will also notify Customs and Border Patrol of the refusal. Refused products may be destroyed or exported under the FDA and CBP supervision within 90 days of the notice of refusal. The FDA provides a list of refusals by country or area and by product that is updated monthly on the FDA website to provide the public with information on shipments that appear to violate any kind of FDA laws and regulations. Cosmetic companies may see increased costs as they implement MoCRA requirements and guidance. However, since MoCRA aligns more closely with international cosmetic standards, we could also see a harmonization of import-export processes across a company's supply chain. We do encourage you to confer with consultants or legal professionals specializing in a product's regulations who can offer you further guidance on all of this. Thank you for joining us on this brief overview of MoCRA. You can learn more by visiting the FDA's website for MoCRA. On the MoCRA website, you will be able to interact with the FDA electronic submission portals, such as Cosmetics Direct, where the responsible person can register facilities and list cosmetic products. You can also monitor when current hard copy forms become available as electronic submission portals, such as for adverse event reporting. I suggest you periodically check the MoCRA website to view key updates. And I'm going to pass the slides over to Marquis Blanc, Krieger Worldwide's Director of Client Services.
Thank you, Jerry, so much for that informative presentation. And thank you, everyone, for joining our webinar today. We're here to help support you in any way we can as you navigate through these new requirements from FDA. Our team's happy to assist in digesting these new guidelines on a more personal level. So please reach out to us for a deeper dive. We'd be happy to help you with that. Our team here at Krieger Worldwide offers consulting services, international and domestic freight forwarding, customs brokerage services, 3PL and warehousing, as well as providing solutions to meet your supply chain requirements. So if you need anything, please contact us. Again, we're happy to help you with your supply chain needs. So thank you again. Thank you also to WITOC for putting this informative webinar together, as well as EDC and U.S. Commercial Services. Destiny?
Thank you, Marquis. Our next speaker will be Kristen Houston, International Trade Specialist from the U.S. Commercial Service. Thank you so much to the U.S. Commercial Service for being a consistent and supportive partner of WITOC. Kristen will discuss some valuable resources that are available to support your international trade needs. Hello, Kristen. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you. Thanks to Destiny, and you'll advance the slides for me, I understand. So in my very short time here, I'm so delighted to be part of this team, this part of this ecosystem of trade support, and introduce myself again briefly. I'm a senior international trade specialist with the U.S. and Foreign Commercial Service. That's a division of the International Trade Administration, part of the Department of Commerce. And essentially, our goal for all U.S. companies is help them increase their market share into markets outside of the United States. We all know that 95% of the world's population lives outside of the United States, and we're here to be your access to get to those markets successfully. Perfect timing here. I'm located in Irvine, California, but as you can see from this slide, as it illustrates, we have offices all throughout the United States, about 106 offices in most states. And we are your link to the next slide, which is our international offices. Now, this is a tremendous webinar. You can get all kinds of trade craft and specifics and industry information and market information online quite easily, but there is no replacement for having expertise on the ground in the markets that you are accessing, whether it's your first export sale to your first market, or you are already in multiple markets and you're growing into specific markets. What you see here are over 160 offices in over 80 markets around the world, typically located in embassies and consulates. And what I want you to take away, absolutely bottom line the most, is that these are your offices. These offices are staffed with federal employees who both are U.S. officers, and the gold in our whole recipe here of support is our foreign service nationals who are from the country. They speak the language, they read, write, and speak English, perfectly and beautifully. But they've also worked in the industry that you are representing for many, many years. So they know the who's who, and they know the challenges and the opportunities and where companies get stuck and the nuances. I mean, you want to grow internationally, but also maintain your brand integrity and your brand image, but also often need to adapt to the local market, the marketing messages, the nuances of that market, in addition to how do you pass the regulations, certifications, labeling requirements, what bodies, what entities in country, and to really best understand them, so we can make your entry into the market fast and successful, and avoid hurdles where possible. So again, I'm not going to make you an expert, but I'm going to throw a lot of ways that we support companies out to you, but know that you've got this global network around the world. You're paying for them anyway through your U.S. tax dollars, so definitely it behooves you to know that they are there for you. We are there for you. You access the domestic office closer to where you're located in order to get to our international support. So you can advance to the next slide. And our areas of support can be, that slide's blocked for me, but I have a copy here. The areas of support have acronyms, they have categories, they can be, summarized in a multitude of ways, but what you really need to know is they are specifically customized to each individual client. So, again, whether you're growing, expanding, first market, multiple markets, many years, there's a lot of questions that you might have that need to be addressed in order for you to successfully get into that market, right? How do I know if it's the right market for me? how do I know if a partner who contacted me, many of you actually will be exhibiting at Natural Products Expo West in mid-March, you'll get all kinds of international inquiries. You probably already do through your websites, but how do you know if that's the right partner for you? How do you know if your product is ready, if your IP is protected? How do you modify? What should your strategic plan be? What's the right channel of distribution? What are the e-commerce platforms that maybe you could take advantage of? How do you modify your website to best show up in each individual market, and what they use in order to, view and learn about your product? I don't think I already said this, but in a lot of the work I do, we say it's better to have the right partner in the wrong market than the wrong partner in any market. We'd rather not hear from you after the fact, but we would like to help you assess that partner that you're considering to make sure that there aren't other options you consider and that they probably are the best fit for you. So, from market assessment to rules and regulations, to finding the right partner, us making the introduction for you and being with you, sometimes translating for you, whether it's, virtual or on the ground, helping you follow up after someone's reached out to you, to launch events announcing your new distributor or that your product's coming into the market, ribbon cutting, technical seminars, if that works for you. Our goal is to help you get into the market smartly with our assistance, but also, have success in that market. So let's go to the next slide, because there's a slide of some thought-provoking. Oh, that's not the slide I thought. That's okay. These are just some, tickler topics that you might want to just review to be reminded, oh, maybe I ought to reach out to my domestic senior commercial specialist, because I'm looking at this market and I want to make sure that I do it right. Can you go to the next slide? I know I'm running short on time here. Okay, let me just close then by saying, please remember that you've got support all over the world. We are part of the ecosystem, along with the SBDCs and our private sector partners and Orange County WIT, which I have a long history with, very proud. But the key to getting the best of our service, because you're not always going to think of when we can chime in and be support to you, is just getting in relationship with your domestic specialist, communicating with them, letting them know, oh, I'm going to Cosmoprof Bologna, or I'm going to the Natural Product Show, or, this is what we're talking about internally, strategically for a certain market. And, let's explore, let me get some intelligence from your people there on the ground so we can know that our approach is, right, or it needs to be tweaked, and see how else you can help us. So, I could summarize, but expanding into international markets, it's far away. They speak a different language. Everything is different, but you have an office on the ground there that can help you, smooth the path from exploratory all the way to, launching your product and trying to get awareness, maybe connecting with influencers, if that's appropriate, and maybe selling through multiple channels, all the way through to getting your product unstuck in customs, which is a call that I had yesterday. We hope that won't happen, but that is something that we can also support with. So that being said, my contact information will be provided to you, and I look forward to seeing many of you at NPEW, first of all, but also connecting you and helping you shape whatever needs that you might have that we can support with. So I'm going to leave it there and answer any Q&A if it comes about. Thank you, Destiny.
Amazing, Kristen. Thank you. We will now move on to the Q&A session, where you can ask any questions you may have related to any of the topics that were covered today. If you have not already, please feel free to type your questions in the Q&A box, and Simona and I will be happy to address them as they come up. We do have a few questions from our WITOC community. Our first one is, will there be any changes to custom clearance procedures for imported cosmetics under MoCRA? That one is for you, Jerry.
Okay, I would say guidance has not yet been provided on changes that custom brokers will need to implement when submitting entries to CBP and to the FDA. However, it is expected that there will be changes to the information that is reported.
Awesome. Simona, do you have any questions on the EDC SBDC side? Sorry.
Yes, definitely. And I do want to encourage all of you. This is your time. There's no such thing as a silly question. So we have a few minutes. This is your time to answer questions. So please make sure you put them in the Q&A. Let's see. We have a question from Bridget in the chat, in the Q&A. Where does a contract manufacturer stand in relation to, oh, it looks like Marquis took care of that question. So Bridget, if that answers your question, we're good. It says, please post the slide of MoCRA definition of a cosmetic. So if you, Stephanie, could go back to the definition of cosmetic, that would be great. And from our EDC side, our next question for you, Jerry, is, are there any common cosmetic ingredients being prohibited or restricted under MoCRA? How can we check if the ingredients we use are impacted? And I think you answered that about a list, but if you could re-emphasize, where do you go to check what ingredients are impacted? Thank you.
So MoCRA itself does not prohibit or restrict any specific ingredients. However, there are already ingredients that are restricted that you can find on the FDA website. So I would suggest going to the FDA website, and on their cosmetic section, they have information on what they already have restricted and prohibited.
Awesome. One more question I have here. What happens if a shipment is flagged for violation of MoCRA?
So guidance has not yet been provided on this, so we're not sure if the whole shipment would be rejected. We haven't learned yet. We are waiting to get more information. And any kind of shareholder in the process, whatever side that you are on, just keep checking the FDA website for more information. They are supposed to continually post their updates there.
Great. And I thank you so much. You're so wonderful answering all of these questions. And, you know, it is really a complex topic, and our network, our small businesses are concerns, and we do want to make sure that they will be successful in implementing and following the regulation. So Bridget's question in the chat was, where does a contract manufacturer stand in relation to MoCRA regulations, since most likely such contract manufacturer is not listed as the cosmetic company marketing the product? So this is, you know, this referred to a brand using a contract manufacturer, and what would be the responsibility, I assume, of the contract manufacturer? If you could answer that.
That one I'm not sure on, so I don't want to give you any incorrect information.
I would just say that if the contract manufacturer is acting as the importer, of course, the same requirements for our cosmetic company importing those items would fall within that realm. But again, FDA is still somewhat not really clear on this, as I said, as I typed in the chat, but more information will be released. We could take a deeper dive with this with Bridget, perhaps on a separate call, to kind of go through what the requirements are for manufacturing, because it is different than a cosmetic brand in most cases. But yeah, at this time, there's not really clear.
Thank you so much, Marquis. And usually what I advise my clients is that you are the brand owner. So it doesn't matter who the contract manufacturer is they are using. It is your responsibility to follow the law. It's your responsibility to make sure that your contract manufacturer actually follows all the regulation that you are actually the ultimate responsible, because nobody knows who your contract manufacturer is. So while the responsibility falls solely on you, you just have to start having this conversation with your contract manufacturer and make sure that they're aware these regulations are coming, that they are implementing some of these, so then you can attest and you can certify and you can sign your name and your brand that yes, you are following these regulations. And Jerry, a big question for you is, something that I think everybody wants to know is like, what happens if the shipment is flagged for violation of MoCRA? Do you know anything about the procedure at the customs when such violation is determined to occur?
Marky, do you want to take this one?
It's basically, it depends on the severity of the flag and what information isn't provided or hasn't been provided, or what kind of clarity, what FDA is looking for as far as the hold with these new MoCRA requirements. But in most cases, either the cargo can't be moved on, it definitely gets customs release, but then it's pending that FDA release, because that's who would release it. So 9 out of 10 times that cargo can be moved to a facility and held until FDA investigates it, and that's usually what happens. Rare instances, though, would it be refused and then have to be exported out of the country. But again, depends on the severity of the claim.
And I assume there'll be a daily fee for that storage and for moving it from the customs into storage. Sure, exactly. Yeah, no, that would be done, and the customs broker handling that shipment would basically have all that information, have that intel, and provide that to their client so that they're well informed. Okay, so my advice to all of the cosmetic companies here: you make sure that your documentation it's very clean and clear before it's sent, before the shipment comes toward the United States, so you don't have to incur this cost all at the customs. Great. Back to you, Destiny. Do you have any questions from the WITOC community?
Yes, ma'am. Jerry, can you outline the required process for initiating a mandatory recall if we receive numerous similar adverse event reports?
For this one, please refer to the FDA website under FDA Recall Policy for Cosmetics. Again, that's FDA Recall Policy for Cosmetics for more information on issuing a voluntary recall. MoCRA provides the authority for a mandatory recall to be issued by the FDA. However, the regulations state that the responsible person will be provided an opportunity to voluntarily cease distribution and recall articles prior to a mandatory recall being ordered. And all those steps are on the FDA website.
Jerry, do you mind defining for us responsible person? Is that the importer of record?
Yes, so that's whoever is on the label. That is and there's if you go for a couple of slides, there's a list of all the definitions. If you keep going a little bit more, that way everybody can see it. So the responsible person, see, it might be one more. It's right here: the manufacturer, the packer, the importer, or the distributor. It cannot be a consultant, and there has to be a point of contact in the United States. So even if the company is located in a foreign country, there needs to be a responsible person designated in the United States to receive things such as adverse event reports.
Great, thank you so much for having all the answers for us, Gary. And I have a packed question from Victoire. Victoire, you're on fire today. I love your questions. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for asking these tough questions. Do products require FDA approval before shipment? Absolutely. The answer is yes to that, because you don't want to be in the situation that Marquis just described, where you're going to be stuck at customs with a lot of fees, and then you have to figure out how to move them and go through that process that will most likely end up into sending them back to the country. What is the duration of FDA approval for product? This, I'll give it back to Jerry to answer. Most likely the answer is it depends on the product. But Jerry, what do you think the duration of an FDA approval for product is?
So it's going to depend on the product, and it's going to depend on the facility. So the facilities have to be registered every 2 years. For the actual product listings, any kind of updates that you make to a product you have to let the FDA know every single year. So every year you are annually updating if you have updated those products. So that keeps it fresh, I guess, would be my answer. You can find more comprehensive information about those regulations on the FDA website. It goes into much more detail. So I would say to go there and look at all of the information on the FDA website. And one thing that I will encourage is don't just stay on the page for MoCRA. A lot of the information, MoCRA is just backing up what's already established by FDA. So by exploring all of the different pages that the FDA has for cosmetics, you'll find a lot of the information, and MoCRA is just reinforcing and strengthening and bolstering what the FDA already has for cosmetics.
Thank you so much. And remember that your freight forwarder, your custom broker, Krieger Worldwide is here, and you want to connect with your custom broker, with your freight forwarder before your shipper will send the products here. The next two questions are related. How does white label manufacturing work? And I think, Victoire, that we answered that before, and it really has to do with the responsible party has to follow the regulations. So if you're doing white label, if there's no brand when you're entering, I think that there are specific requirements, and I'll let Marquis answer that question. And Marquis, also the next question, should packaging indicate the contracting company or the white label manufacturer? There's a law that talks about all that with the FDA, and I will give it to you, Marquis, to answer, because I think you'll probably have the answer.
I don't have the answer.
Go
ahead.
I was saying the owner of the facility where the cosmetics are registered, they're the ones who have to do the facility registration. So wherever the product is being made, it doesn't matter necessarily if it's white label or brand. Like that facility, the owner or the operator of that facility has to be the one to register.
Yeah, I mean, FDA governs registration, FDA governs the products, right? But as far as labeling for consumer affairs, that's a whole different entity that will then govern that. And that is consumer affairs that governs what the label has to say, what has to be identified. Customs also governs that as well. But FDA is more along the lines of what's required for importing those items, what's the specifications. And again, that's all on the website.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And so the FDA, Victoire, FDA website has very clear requirements on what should go in the label. And yes, it will most likely have to be disclosed where the products were made.
Yes, it has to be.
And what I could tell you on the white label is that you do not want your foreign manufacturer to ship these products to you without you having that certificate from FDA. So it's their responsibility, the manufacturer, to register the product with FDA. And don't just go with the number. Sometimes they give you, oh, here's my registration FDA number. That's not sufficient. You want a copy of the certificate. They always receive a copy of the certificate, and that's how you know you clear customs. And again, your best friend in this entire process is your custom broker, your freight forwarder, is Krieger Worldwide. They should look at your documentation before they ship. And also, don't pay until you have all your custom clearance documentation in order. When you see the package and you see that the custom clear documentation has everything that you need to clear customs, and Marquis and Jerry has confirmed that, then you pay your manufacturer, because if you pay, they might not have time for you after that. So remember, your payment is very much linked to your custom documentation clearance, and that is your tool of negotiation. That's what I tell my customers all the time. So we are at the hour, and I want to respect everybody's time. I want to thank everybody for being here, for joining us, for asking us this good question. I want to very much thank Jerry for being our expert, and Marquis for supporting us, and also for serving the small business community, because it is not always easy for us to really give these services and support and to find reliable services for small businesses. So we appreciate your partnership. We hope that you all found today's program insightful. We encourage you to continue exploring this opportunity, engage further with the resources we provide you today. Quick recap, EDC SBDC, we're here to support your growth of your business with no-cost consultancy. WITOC has a stellar education program and a global network that you could benefit from. So make sure to go to witoc.org to find out what it takes for you to become a member. Stephanie just put the phone number and the email on how to connect with EDC SBDC. Krieger Worldwide has a full compliance department, and they are here to support you with this regulatory compliance besides their freight forwarding and custom broker services. And keep in mind, they support small businesses. U.S. Commercial Service is our American government secret. They are the promotion arm of the Department of Commerce, and they have so many services for you to support you if you are looking to export your products, and if your products have 51% content for some of the services they have. Remember, at EDC SBDC, we can help you apply for export promotion grants to cover some of the cost of compliance and export promotion. So you are not alone in this journey. We're all here to support you. Thank you for joining us. And this will conclude our webinar today. You'll receive the slides, you'll receive the recording, and please follow us on LinkedIn, stay in touch with us, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you
Jerry.
all.
Thank you, Kristen.
Bye.
Thank you to all of you. Have a wonderful day, rest of the day.